You leave the conversation feeling confused, not angry, not even upset exactly, just off. Like something happened, but you can't quite explain what. Maybe you ended up apologizing, even though, thinking back on it now, you're not sure what you did wrong. Maybe you agreed to something you didn't actually want to agree to. Or maybe you just feel a little smaller than you did an hour ago, and you don't know why. If that's ever happened to you, here's the uncomfortable part. It probably wasn't random. There are specific patterns people use, sometimes on purpose, sometimes without even realizing it themselves, that create exactly that feeling. And most of them are almost invisible unless you know precisely what you're looking for. Today, we're breaking down 7 of them. Now, before we get into the list, one important thing. Not everyone who does these things is some kind of calculated villain twirling a mustache behind the scenes. A lot of people picked up these patterns the same way you picked up your own habits from family, from past relationships, from just figuring out what got them what they wanted. Some of them aren't even aware they're doing it. But here's the thing. Intent doesn't really change the impact. Whether someone is doing this on purpose or doing it because it's the only way they've ever known how to get their needs met, the effect on you is the same. Your confusion is just as real. Your guilt is just as real. And recognizing the pattern is just as useful either way. So this isn't about labeling people as monsters. It's about giving you the ability to notice what's actually happening in real time instead of figuring it out 3 hours later in the shower. Let's get into it. Number 1. They make you feel guilty for having normal boundaries. Here's what this looks like in real life. You say you can't make it to something. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you just need a night to yourself. A completely normal, completely reasonable thing to say. And instead of, okay, no worries, you get a sigh. Or wow, must be nice to only think about yourself. Or the classic, I guess I just can't count on you. Suddenly, you're not someone who set a boundary. You're someone who let them down. And here's why this works so well on you specifically. Most of us are wired to avoid being seen as selfish. So when someone reframes your boundary as a character flaw, your brain doesn't process it as, this person is upset. It processes it as, I did something wrong. That's the switch. A normal limit gets quietly rebranded as a moral failing. And you end up apologizing for something you never should have had to defend in the first place. Number 2. They shift definitions mid-conversation. This one's sometimes called moving the goalposts. And once you see it, you'll notice it everywhere. It usually starts with a clear complaint. Something like, you never tell me what's going on with you. So you open up, you share something real, and suddenly the complaint changes. Now it's, well, you only told me because I asked. Or, that doesn't count. You're just saying that now. Whatever you actually do, it turns out it wasn't quite the right thing. The target quietly moves every single time you get close to it. Why this one is so effective? It keeps you in a permanent state of almost. You're never failing completely, which would make you walk away, but you're never succeeding either. You just keep trying a little harder, convinced that this time you'll finally get it right. Except there was never a right to get to. The goal was never to be met. The goal was to keep you reaching. Sign number 3. They use selective memory. You bring up something they said, something specific, maybe even something that hurt, and the response isn't, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that landed that way. It's, I never said that. Not, I don't remember it that way. Not, maybe I phrased it badly. A flat denial delivered with total confidence, like you're the one who's confused. And here's what makes this one so disorienting. Confidence reads as truth to most people. When someone states something firmly enough, without hesitation, your brain instinctively starts second-guessing your own memory instead of theirs. So you start doing the thing that should be a huge red flag on its own. You start keeping mental notes, screenshots, dates, building a case file for conversations that should never have needed one. That's not you being paranoid. That's a completely reasonable response to someone rewriting reality in real time. 4th sign, they triangulate, bringing in third parties to pressure you. This one rarely happens one-on-one. It needs an audience. It sounds like even your mom thinks you're overreacting. Or, I was talking to our friends and honestly, they agree with me. Or the group chat suddenly has an opinion about your private disagreement. Whether or not those people actually said any of that, and often they didn't, or it's wildly exaggerated, doesn't really matter. The goal isn't accuracy. The goal is to make you feel outnumbered. Because one person disagreeing with you is a disagreement. 3 people disagreeing with you starts to feel like a verdict. This is why triangulation is so effective. It skips the hard work of actually winning the argument and goes straight to making you feel like the argument is already over and you lost. The fix isn't to start pulling people to defend yourself. It's recognizing that a borrowed crowd isn't the same thing as being wrong. Number 5. They mirror your emotions to disarm you. Then flip the script. This one's subtler than the others, so pay attention. You're upset. Genuinely, visibly upset. And instead of getting defensive, they do something that almost feels comforting. They match your emotion. They look hurt, too. Maybe even more hurt than you are. I can't believe you'd think that about me. I'm honestly devastated you'd say that. For a second, it works. Your guard drops because it feels like they understand, like you're both on the same emotional page. But watch what happens next. The conversation quietly stops being about what they did and starts being about how much they're suffering because of how you reacted to what they did. You came in with a grievance. You leave comforting them. This works because mirrored emotion feels like empathy, and empathy makes us want to soften, not push. But real accountability and performed hurt look almost identical in the moment. The only way to tell them apart is to notice whether the original issue ever actually gets addressed or just quietly disappears. Sign number 6. They apologize for how you feel, not for what they did. This is the one that sounds like an apology but isn't. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you took it like that. I'm sorry this upset you so much. Notice what's missing from all 3 of those sentences. Them. Their action. Whatever it was they actually did. The apology has quietly relocated the problem from their behavior to your reaction. You're no longer responding to something they did. You're now the one with an oversensitive reaction that needs managing. And it's a hard one to argue with in the moment because on the surface, it sounds like an apology. It has the shape of one. It even has the word sorry in it. So pushing back can feel unreasonable, like you're rejecting an olive branch. But a real apology names the action and takes ownership of it. I'm sorry I did that. This version does neither. It just acknowledges that you had a feeling without ever confirming whether that feeling was justified. Number 7. You feel smaller after talking to them, even when nothing was technically said. This is the one most people overlook, because there's no specific line you can point to. No comment to quote, no moments you can replay and say, there, that's what they did. You just notice the pattern afterward. You're a little quieter around them, a little more careful about what you share. You start rehearsing things in your head before you say them out loud, editing yourself in advance, just in case. And because nothing concrete happened, it's easy to convince yourself you're overthinking it, that you're being too sensitive, that there's nothing to actually point to. But here's the thing. This feeling is data. It might be the most reliable data point of all 7, because it doesn't rely on remembering exact words or proving anyone's intent. If you consistently feel smaller, more cautious, or more anxious after spending time with someone that's not nothing, your nervous system is picking up on something real, even if your conscious mind can't fully articulate what. You don't need a transcript to trust that. So look back at all 7 of these for a second. Guilt over normal boundaries. Goalposts that keep moving. Memories that get rewritten. Crowds that get borrowed. Emotions that get mirrored, then flipped. Apologies that never quite apologize. And that quiet, shrinking feeling that has no specific moment attached to it. They look like 7 different tactics, but underneath, they're all doing the exact same thing. They're not really arguing with what you said, or what you did, or what you want. They're quietly working to make you distrust yourself, your memory, your judgment, your read on the situation, even your own feelings, in the moments you're having them. Because once you stop trusting yourself, You stop checking their behavior against it, and you start checking your behavior against theirs instead. That's the real thread connecting all of this. It's not really about what was said in any one conversation. It's about who you end up trusting less by the end of it. Them or you. Now, if you recognized one or two of these, take a breath. That doesn't automatically mean you're in a relationship with a manipulator. Sometimes people slip into one of these patterns without meaning to, especially under stress. But if you recognized most of them in the same relationship over and over again, that's worth paying real attention to. The good news is, awareness does most of the heavy lifting here. Once you can name a pattern while it's happening, instead of 3 hours later, it loses a huge amount of its power over you. You stop absorbing it, and you start observing it. In the next video, we're going deep on one specific tactic that deserves its own spotlight, the one where manipulation gets disguised as romance. It's called love bombing, and it's a lot more common and a lot earlier in relationships than most people realize. If this helped you make sense of something, let me know in the comments which of these 7 hit closest to home for you. It helps me know what to dig into next. I'll see you in the next one.